Greetings and welcome. This has been a long day of StarCraft so far, but not as long as we thought it would be because we've had a couple quick matches. But we look like we're getting ourselves deep into a long match here, as it is 2-1 in favor of MicroGamerZ and Miraculous Gaming, coming back in a pretty good PVT there and commanding a point of their own now going into game number 4. It is going to be Miraculous Gamers Gunshy versus MicroGamerZ Snakehips. And Snakehips is one of the favorite players of SC2CTL for me. We've seen a lot of great games out of him, and I'm excited to see what we'll see, especially as it's a Terran versus Zerg, and there are no Protosses in this in this game.
Yes. So Snakehips, you can find him on Twitter at Snakehips_SC2. You can also find him on twitch.tv/thepresident Obama. His real name is Hussein, and he aspires to having a political career once he's finished with StarCraft 2. Wow. He's good friends with Imba and his family. MicroGamerZ is his first professional team. He loves SC2 and Cran's drawings, which makes him a perfect fit for the StarCraft 2 Community Team League. His opponent this evening is going to be Gunshy.
I'm not sure what it is.
I'm not sure.
I would say Gunshy.
Gunshy. All right, we'll go with that. And he was recently promoted to Grandmasters, and he plays primarily with aggressive builds, so it could be a quick one out of him. But before we get into this next game, I do want to remind you that if you like what you're seeing here, please give us a follow on Twitch, so that when we go live next time, when we have more content for you, you'll know what's there, and you'll be able to keep up to date with us. And just to reward you for hanging out, we also want to give you a code, the first of 2 that we'll be giving out for this next match, and in honor of In Control hanging out with us, the first code is going to be EG Jeff. Not quite his Twitter handle, but we did the Twitter handle for Grubby, so I didn't want to be too predictable with that.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to be predictable. And that is that will win you at the end of the show today. We're going to be casting that drawing for the Corsair Mechanical Gaming Keyboard. We've been giving out codes for 2 months for this?
Yep.
And so there's a lot of entries, and you can catch up very quickly on those entries by liking and following the various Twitter and Facebook things on that page. For every like or follow, you get an additional entry. So I believe for each code you enter, you can get something like 7 or 8 actual entries, and we've given away 6 codes so far today.
That's right. That will be the 7th, and if it doesn't go up in chat, you can find that at sc2ctl.com/giveaway is where you will find the place to enter all that in, and contest rules and all that good stuff.
Yeah, we're on a 2-minute stream delay here, so somebody help us out when you actually see this and type in !giveaway.
That would be great. Anyway, that's all I have. We can feel free to move into the next game.
All right, and so like we said, going into game number 4, it is going to be Miraculous Gaming Gunshy versus MicroGamerZ Snakehips TVZ. I'm going to let the players know we're ready, or ask them if they are ready before we jump on into this. And, we're going to be getting closer to the end, and it's very sad as it's been a long season. We've had a long road, lots of great games. And, this is something that it's cool that the season culminates in such a cool event, and we've had a great response from it. And, this season especially, we thank these awesome people in Grubby and In Control coming out to spend some time with us today. It really helps out and spread the word, and also, they're just cool people in the StarCraft community, so it's a pleasure to have that and hang out with them, as it looks like everyone is ready.
Yeah, and we're all in this together, man. I think it's awesome to see something like what you guys are doing being pulled off so well. These guys are taking it really serious and giving their best shot. These lineups are legit. These are really good teams. I had no idea all these good players were on the same organizations, actually. It should make sense because I play a lot of these guys in the ladder, but now that I see them all lined up, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's a really good team.
Yeah, and it's been going through the season. It's been some really interesting play. I mean, season 1 was the season 1 final show was kind of the underdog show. I mean, we had players like Henderlisk and Masa and others, and this guy named Koreanair came out and punked Henderlisk, and who would have thought? And a team like the Gravity comes out and beats Complexity. So I mean, it was a season of unpredictability, whereas this season, we haven't necessarily had that, but there's been a lot of notable players that have come out and done some cool things, as well as the sort of unknowns that have done the same.
Not bad.
As we get on into the game, get everything set up, And in the lower left-hand corner of Merry-Go-Round, the only 3-player map in the rotation, representing MicroGamerZ, it is Snakehips. You know what throws me off is the silly tag on them.
I know. How does that MicroGamerZ?
Yeah, right.
What is that?
I think they switched because their Twitter handle actually switched a week or so ago. Because every time I type
what
it in,
is
now it's something different.
GJLTD? Limited, I guess. Something limited.
Upper right-hand corner, red Terran is Miraculous Gaming Gunshy. We'll just introduce Miraculous Gaming first, and then that'll help. So we are currently at a score of MicroGamerZ 2 and Miraculous Gaming 1. So we're going into game number 4 of this best of 7 series. If you're just joining us, this is a Pro League format, so these rosters are established ahead of time. The maps are established ahead of time, so it's not a all-kill format like last season where someone wins or loses and you say, okay, I'm going to throw out this guy to try and counter what's going on here. All these are established ahead of time, so it is a different format, but it's been interesting, both good and bad in several different ways. Jeff, do you have any thoughts on, what you like to see better between Pro League and...
Yeah, it's interesting. Well, I mean, like with all-kill format, it can kind of... A team that's perhaps less shallow but more top-heavy can do very well, which a lot of people can look down upon, but it also creates epic storylines when that guy gets upset or one guy all kills. These are very flashy, cool moments in our little world, our little corner of the world. On the flip side, though, like this, what I like about prepared lineups and prepared maps is that the teams that take it very serious, perhaps on a map like Blood Mist, can take it and do interesting things with it. They can go, they can prepare for it. So, because a lot of these maps are ladder maps, I suspect there wasn't as much of that. Of course, they should have probably focused on the matchup, but not so much like map preparation. But they both have their pros and cons. I appreciate that you guys did something a little bit different as opposed to... We're seeing a lot of, all kill formats or team, whatever, kill formats.
Well, I think we're pretty unanimous in today's broadcast in that on Merry-Go-Round, every single time, both players have scouted the wrong location first.
Nice. Bad luck for them, then.
Yeah, the SCV of Gunshy is coming in here to the base of Snakehips. He's going to see that Reaper following close behind. We've seen a lot of Reaper openings today. We've actually seen a lot of openings with multiple Reapers, where we get 3 and 4. But, they really haven't gotten that just breakout, catch-them-off-guard play where they get 5 drone probe SCV kills. But
it typically doesn't happen that way anymore. If you get a drone, it's like a big deal. Getting a couple of lings is kind of the standard, but even that, Zergs have gotten better about not losing even Zerglings at this stage. And this is more of just kind of a dance. The Reaper shows up because it forces lings and stops the Zerg from having any semblance of map control. And the Zergs make these lings and make queens because... I guess if there's not a Reaper, they get that map control, but also to hold off the Reaper. And it's just kind of like a very... I don't want to say boring, because it's... Oh, gosh, this Reaper. Oh, my God.
Wow.
Okay, yeah, it does die. I was going to say, it's just standing there. But this is almost like a boring stage of the TVZ, because both players have done this every single frickin' time.
Yeah.
But it's gotten a little bit more interesting now with Hellbats, and we can see this double gas is getting scouted out from Snakehips. He has to know. He's got to be saying to himself, it's either Banshee or it's going to be Hellbats here pretty soon.
We've seen this almost every game, and in a couple of them we've seen so far today, we've kind of seen the Scarlet-esque build, as we've talked about from Red Bull Battlegrounds with Scarlet and Pult, where they end up with 3 to 5 queens out front and just basically defend with that really thin defense that is enough to hold off these 4 to 5 Hellions with a couple of Reapers thrown in, and then just end up swinging back with a Ling and Baneling. And it looks like Snakehips is kind of doing that. He's got 2 queens out front, a third is standing at the natural expansion doing injects, and it seems like it's almost become the standard.
And just now a drone is leaving, and it's not even leaving that far. It's going to make it an evolution chamber at the ramp. So to your point, I remember this era of Scarlet's play where she was very hesitant to take a third, and instead relied on those queens like you talked about, but then kind of absorbing the aggression of the Terran player, then taking the third. And oftentimes going for 2-base Mutalisk or even a Roach timing attack. So it's interesting. There's definitely give and take here. I think early game TVZ is favored towards Terran at the moment in time. Both Hellbats and, as we can see here, Cloaked Banshee is very strong. But what I like from Snakehips is, guess what? He knows where your tech is, and he's coming in to get a peek. If you see Cloaked Banshees, you have a much better chance of defending against it than if you obviously get surprised by that tech.
Well, he even sees the Banshee coming out, so there's no secret there. Actually, in a couple games, we've seen them sneak out a Raven instead of Cloak Banshees, but the Tech Lab is whirring around there, so it's definitely clearly Cloak. But he's going to be heading around and really one Spore Crawler going down, scanning the main base too to see what's there, and he's going to see that Spore Crawler, so not going to push too much. And really controlling the creep here. This is the biggest thing we've seen is these Queens just working their hardest to get this creep out, and 4, 5, 6 Hellions just kind of hang out front and just thwart it.
Oh, he does get the Queen, despite there being transfusions available.
Yeah.
It's a really bad start for a player here, Snake Hips. Behind this, he either forgot or wasn't minding one of the guys as natural, but he seems to be kind of thrown off. This Roach Warren will get picked off. He could transfuse that to save it. But he's got to be careful. There's so many Hellions here, and a second Banshee showing up as well. This second Banshee really tips over... Where is that second Banshee? I could have sworn it was coming out. There it is. Second Banshee adds so much DPS to this. But now with Roaches, he should be okay. I
kind of wanted to see that short time there where those Queens kind of pulled back. I kind of wanted to see him just kind of run through that hole and just dive into the main base and just with those Hellions. And oh my gosh, is that a Nidus?
Yeah. Oh, those tumors look really funny. There's actually no creep for them to land into. Okay, there they go.
Jeff, we got a Nidus network here in the main base of Snake.
You know what? This is so funny. This is my commentating style. I commentate very almost naively, just flying around and watching, and I'm like, I don't like this for Snake Hips, but all of a sudden that Nidus Canal, I love it. I love his situation. Or Nidus Network, not Canal, excuse me, that's Brood War. Nidus Network, he's went so far on Hellions, he has so many Hellions, but any number of Roaches absolutely wreck that, and the big thing is they couldn't get across the map because the Hellions would run into the natural before that could ever happen, but with this Overlord at 12 o'clock, all of a sudden, there's Roaches and Queens there. This could be actually in the main.
Oh, he sees it, though. That factory has vision of that bubbling pile of dirt.
He's not pulling SCVs. Now he does! Is there enough time?
No,
he's going to have to transfuse it. Pop out and transfuse. Pop out and transfuse. Yep, he does. Oh, my gosh.
Well, there's a lot of DPS here in these Queens, too, but the Cloak Banshee's there, but an Overseer's there, so that he's going to be detected. And there's nothing really that shoots up here for Gunshy. I mean, these Roaches are just doing the damage here. Tank is trying to come out, but I don't think it's going to make it.
No, I don't think so either. I think you're absolutely right. This first tank in its factory is going to die. The second one is target for destruction as well. He's even going to cancel it. Well, guess what? You have Hellions. You're making a Banshee. Big deal. Creep is starting to spread in there. This is at best a dislodged main, and at worst, a dead Terran player, depending on who you're rooting for.
Yeah, it looks like he's pulling up the SCVs from the natural expansion here to try and hand this off, but I mean, Hellions against Roaches and Queens, not the best makeup. There are a lot of
not going to do it.
Going down, and it's just not going to work out. GG, well played. Wow, that was... hold on, do that again, Gallegation. This is what I have sitting next to me.
That was impressive. That was fun.
So, Gallegation, you're the Zerg player. How much did that tickle your fancy?
Oh my goodness, I can't remember honestly in professional play or in kind of our league, which is B team, I like to call it a lot of times, to professional play. I just can't remember the Nidus Network, happening anytime recently, and it's just so fun to watch it when it plays out like that. As a Zerg player, it gets all my my carapace tingly. So,
but and then Gunshy was just like, what the hell, man? All of a sudden, I mean, he thought he was in a good position there, just kind of keeping Snake Hips in his base, and all of a sudden his main was dead.
I'm just absolutely in love with that play. Outside of, if that gets found and shut down, he's in a lot of trouble. Those Roaches moving across the map, of course, without Queen support, or perhaps even worse, waiting for Queen support, in which case there's 4 or 5 tanks waiting to greet him, and that attack gets shut down. And that's a 2-base Zerg with no backup to fall back on. So that's a dead Zerg. But the swing around, if you get inside the main like that, and then having the control to transfuse the Nidus Network to keep it up, and then also the correct transfuses to keep the Queens there because they're the only anti-air, meant that he very easily won that fight, right? After he focused down the 2 Banshees, that was nearly 24 Roaches. I think it was 22 of them. Are they going to die to SCVs and Hellions? Hell no. So it was that fight wasn't even close, but what's kind of cool about it is that fight hung in the balance of if that Nidus network gets found and canceled, that's a dead Zerg. But because it's not, his team's now up 3-1, and they're looking at a pretty nice prize pool for themselves and the title of being champions.
Well, and he was definitely paying attention because you could just ever so barely see that Nidus network in the corner of that base, and he was just like had the ultimate freak out as he pulled every single SCV from his main base and just was not able to, but great control too in transfusing it. But that is going to end game number 4, which leaves the score at 4-1 in favor of MicroGamerZ. I'm sorry, 3-1 in favor of MicroGamerZ. So that is going to be match point for MicroGamerZ. Usually when this today so far, when we've been in this position, it's been the team with 3 wins that gets the next one. But last season was the team that had 1 win that gets the next 3 wins. I haven't seen that so much this season, but I'm hoping for it today, just to keep some interesting StarCraft going on. I've been having a great day so far. I've been joined by some cool people. Grubby joining us this morning, and In Control joining us now this evening. We have been going since 10 o'clock this morning, so we have been long hauling it today, but it's been a lot of awesome StarCraft, and we are excited to be here. This is the StarCraft 2 Community Team League. For those of you that have not seen it, I am Wingnut SC. This is Gallegation to my right, and below us is In Control, taking time out of his busy schedule to help us out. And we want to give a quick shout out to Mythologic. They're the sponsors for this entire season. They have put up all of the prize money that these teams will be taking home and sleeping on under their pillows tonight. Maybe not quite that quick, as some of them are a bit away, so it will take some time to get to them. But they'll probably sleep with it at some point. So they're pretty awesome. They're local to us, cool guys, so definitely go out and check them out on Twitter. @Mythologic is where you can find them, or mythologic.com. They actually make some really awesome custom gaming laptops, all custom built. Really cool systems. Got to see some in person the other day. Very cool. And more than anything, they're just sticking their necks out for grassroots esports. I mean, giving up $1,100 for a organization such as SC2CTL is quite a big step, so it's a big thing for them. So definitely show them some love. Go out to Twitter and tweet at them, and tweet at us as well, and just tell them thanks, and they appreciate their support. And that's how we end up landing these sponsors for anything that we may do in the future. And also, Gallegation and I do other stuff too. We cast other events around here and online, so you'll be able to see what's going on with us if you follow us. And with that, we're gonna get ready. The lobby is not up yet for game number 5, but we'll be expecting that shortly here. But we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back. And if it's not ready, we'll just hang out and chat. All right, we are back. Thanks for hanging with us through that break. We are back, joined by In Control here as we are working our way through the grand final of Season 2 of the StarCraft 2 Community Team League. We are in game number 5, going through 4. The score is 3-1, MicroGamerZ versus MRG. MicroGamerZ, of course, having 3, Miraculous Gaming having 1. God, this is the hardest team matchup ever.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate nightmare because we were doing this throughout the season too, where we knew that they were both playing and doing well and having a hard time differentiating, but we're making our way through it. So we're on to the next game. It is going to be game number 5. Is that right? 4?
5. We're at 3-1. Yep.
Yes, game number 5. And our players this evening for game number 5 are going to be Hexia and Freesia. Freesia is from Miraculous Gaming. He is actually the owner and recently has been promoted to Grandmasters. He had previously been the manager of Overdose Gaming for about 9 months. He left to create Miraculous Gaming, and he focuses on heavy macro builds. And his opponent, Hexia, is a top 100 Grandmasters Korean Protoss. He took a break from SC2 to serve in the Army, and after finishing his tour, he returned to StarCraft 2. He's a macro player who enjoys the ability to outplay his opponents.
So we're going to go into a PvP. We've our first 2 matches of the day, we started out with PvPs, and they were quite different, very interesting in their own different ways. Jeff, I mean, PvP for quite a while was just like straight up kill your opponent as fast as you can. It seems like it's kind of changed a little bit. I mean,
yeah.
What do you think overall about the PvP matchup at this point?
I love it. I think it's in a great place. It might be because they slunk us down into such a low that I'm in a mindset now where anything that's remotely good is awesome. But the 4-gate era is gone. Now we see all the tech paths. Blink's still very popular. DT, of course, off the Twilight Council, but then you have robo openings for 1-gate expand, and we see a lot of Immortals. You also have, of course, Stargate play, and even that's diversified. We see Oracles, we see Phoenix, and then a lot less common, but you will see some Void Ray play, and then, of course, late game is dominated by Colossus and Tempest, but mid game can be Colossus, or it can be Immortal Charge-Lot Archon, and we're even seeing Storm starting to get utilized. I know that's something that Huck in particular is utilizing quite a bit. The main thing to look at here is that there is diversity, which is really exciting because it used to be a matchup that was dominated by 1 or 2 builds, and it made it for very, very boring games.
That's true. But in the upper right-hand corner, going to Habitation Station, game number 5, the blue Protoss representing Miraculous Gaming, it is Freesia. And in the upper left, the opposing side of Habitation, it is the red Protoss representing MicroGamerZ, it is Hexia. And as you were saying, the 4-gate era is kind of gone. It's an interesting point because, I mean, I don't think we've seen that in such a long time. But also, my favorite thing in Heart of the Swarm is the fact that they included detection on the Stargate tree so that you can actually go Stargate and not be completely terrified or vulnerable to a Dark Templar play or something like that. I think that's been part of opening up the tech paths in PvP.
And it's really cool because that detection you speak of course, the Oracle ability, it comes at the cost of doing damage. It is a unit that builds fairly fast and moves very fast, so it's reliable detection, but it's not the most exciting thing. You don't make an Oracle for detection typically. You make it so that you can go kill a whole bunch of stuff, right? So the matchup is just in a really good spot because I even forgot to mention there's a lot of proxy play going on as well, which I know at first glance seems boring and cheesy, but the kind of exchange between will they scout, do they check for it, and then the micro that ensues, the different responses. We see forges, we see fast mothership cores, or we see a second gateway. People are pulling probes. And then, of course, there's like the outside the main base stalker proxy play, which requires nothing but micro. It's in a much better place. Nowhere will you have people making the strong argument that it's the best matchup in the game, but it's a nice place to be at with all the Protoss success, where if it is PvP, it's a pretty cool matchup as opposed to, oh god, they're both going to rush each other and it sucks, I
remember a local LAN tournament we casted a year and a half or so ago, 2 years ago. Almost every single match was PvP, and that was when, I don't even think it was Heart of the Swarm yet, and if it was, it had just came out, where it was still very cheesy, very 4-gatey. Oh, there's a pylon going down right in the mineral line from...
yeah, that's a little bit... I think it does block off one technically, and it makes them go around it, but It's not worth the 100, so I wonder if he's going to cancel this.
He's just kind of going around the backside.
Yeah, he does.
Worth 25 minerals? Probably not, but
No.
sort of freaks you out a little bit, maybe.
Interesting idea. Well, he's getting scouted right now, so Frezia did not for even a second think he was getting cannon rush or anything like that, but maybe he... I actually don't do anything like cannon block, or not cannon block, excuse me, but pylon blocking, or manor pyloning, as it was called in Brood War. So I don't know if he just missed a spot that would have locked down a couple of minerals or something like that, but if you can do that, it's fantastic. I just don't... Like I said, I don't know where you would do that.
Well, we do have Twilight Council coming down from both players at almost exactly the same time, and Frezia has a probe down here at the 7 o'clock position, just kind of hanging out. It's almost guaranteed to be a pylon of some kind, because otherwise why would you be down there?
Dark Shrine, probably. It's worth noting both are not scouted, by the way. So what both players do have is they know that they are on double gas. They know they have 3 probes. They know that it's 1 gateway. So they're very sure that it's going to be some form of tech, but they're not sure which it is. Stargate's very common here.
Gosh.
But look at this. Hexia pulls in, and he absolutely will spot that Dark Shrine. And getting a Dark Shrine scouted is terrible. There is a mind game here where it's like, okay, you see the Dark Shrine.
This mothership core is kind of trapped here.
Will I cancel it? But all he has to do is add a robo, and he's going to be totally fine.
He's totally oh, okay, he's going to do recall. Okay, I was getting a little worried there for a second, but I mean, you can mind game it too and just cancel it, right? And then, but you also don't know that what's on the other side.
But then it's just dead tech weight, and a lot of players will go blink from there, but then it's just delayed blink that can't be aggressive, you know. So it's horrible to get that scouted, and I love what Hexia is doing. Hexia goes for a fast robo. Frezia is doing the same. So functionally, it's very close to being the same build here. Both players should be safe. And Frezia even expanding before here, which is really nice. 3 gateways actually out from Hexia.
The interesting bit we saw, I believe it was just last week in a PvP with some DTs where he warped in the DTs but hesitated for about 5 to 10 seconds coming in, and the other player blocked off the top of his ramp with 3 pylons, and then thinking that the DTs weren't actually coming, ended up canceling them. Then the DTs come up the ramp, tries to do a meat block, and it doesn't work out, and it was just a mess. But I mean, both these players looks like they're going to be fairly safe. DT being warped in.
Hexia's going to go. He's going to go for it. So it's going to be blink after this. Now all of a sudden this kind of flips on its head. His DTs are showing up. There is detection here, so he needs to catch this DT. He needs to make that hurt. Oh, he just gets it. So that's really nice for Frezia, because with that expansion getting spotted and 4-gate blink coming out from Hexia, Hexia, if he's facing straight Immortal Chrono Boost coming out from Frezia, it's going to be super hard. This Mothership Core is going to have double... Oh, a Warp Prism now. That's not good. I mean, he's going to try to get DTs in the main, but that could just get shut down. He needs Immortals right away. Well, never mind. I'm going to just shut up now because Hexia expands.
And these pylons are going to be scouted out by these 2 stalkers down here, so he's going to see that going on.
That's a good pickup. I like the choice to expand, though, because I'll tell you, if he... The Warp Prism here is kind of weird. Yes, he's going to try to get DTs in the main. That could do a lot of damage, but his tech did nothing. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of weird. But if he has 3 or 4 Immortals plus Photon Overcharge and, 12 Blink Stalkers show up, that's just a dead Hexia. And he doesn't want to risk it right now. He's in a situation where, his team's got 1 match to go to win. So don't take the risk. Play it safe. He's got confidence that he can drag this on and win it. And he hasn't invested in too much. Yes, he loses the DT, but it's just 1 DT. It's not like he warped in 4 and didn't do anything, right?
But it looks like Hexia is trying to just kind of keep control of the map here. He's just kind of spread around here. Got a pylon up on the gold expansion and 1 on the high ground here. Just warping in stalkers, like he said, going for that blink with expansion finishing up. But he's going to kind of walk in here, and there's not going to be a whole lot.
There's not.
Oh, going for the sentries.
He can't get that Nexus with this. He just wants to chip away at the paint, I guess. Warp Prism's still hanging out behind his base, but it's not with DTs yet. And even if it did have DTs, I like this from Hexia. He leaves behind the Motion Core and an Observer, so there should not be a lot of damage done here, if any.
So he's going to open up the Warp Prism and theoretically warp in something here underneath it eventually.
Oh,
he's busy with the engagement here at his natural expansion, but he does trap in quite a few stalkers, and those are not going to get out. Blink out. 2 Immortals there are going to shut this stalker pressure down altogether. Oh, wow, ambitious Immortal there.
Yeah, that's a huge mistake, because I was just going to say, I was going to sing his praises. The guy saves one immortal. That should have been a huge situation. DT makes way into the main, though. There is not an observer up there. The observer's down here at the mothership core. And the second DT is going to go to the natural. If that doesn't get spotted immediately, it's going to do a lot of damage there, too.
There is an observer there, and the mothership core is whacking away and throws on photon overcharge, so the DT, at least at the natural, will be taken. But he's moved all of his probes down to the natural, but he doesn't have any gas down there.
He's going for it at the main again. A second photon overcharge is initiated, but he's focusing down the immortals, and Frezia, I think he actually mishandled this. He's losing his units there. A blink back for safety from Hexia, but he killed both the immortals, gets another photon overcharge. Hexia is taking a lot of damage at home, so that's kind of the good graces for Frezia, but even then...
It's only 7-3 in worker kills in advantage of Frezia, so... I mean, another mortal does pop out, 3 more stalkers warped in.
He can stabilize. He certainly could, and in fact, he is.
Yeah.
Stalkers are heading home.
Oh, nice blink there.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. There's a DT in there, too.
So, but Hexia still does have... Oh, pause requested here from one of the players. So let's talk a little bit more about the DT play. Both players showed DTs at the same time. Freesia's got scouted. Hexia responded with a stalker blink push. And Frezia ended up getting the DTs in there eventually, but I mean, how else could he have responded to that?
Oh, I'll tell you, Frezia was on the verge of excellence. He pulls back his first immortal at exactly the right time and saves it. The stalkers were thinking about committing to going hard on it, but didn't, which was the correct choice. But then his second immortal went rogue and just kind of tried to take on all the stalkers by himself. But if right now Frezia has a whole nother immortal, with that other immortal, there's a good chance that he has more units, because those stalkers wouldn't have been so bold to try to come up the ramp again. And he does the damage that he did. I really like his position. As it stands right now, he's still okay. He's in a fine position, but just not as good of a position. He's up. Well, actually, just one harvester now. It was 4 a second ago.
And he's up.
And he's adding a couple of gateways behind this, but he doesn't have... he does have +1, but if I'm not mistaken, he does not have charge, and he does not have blink. So if he tries to push out too hard with some kind of weird 6-gate immortal shove, he could give the lead back. Like, it's just a few sentries and an immortal away from being a defended attack, and then a blink stalker counterattack, and all of a sudden the game gets weird.
Well, now the stalkers are heading back. There is only one immortal there. One is about to finish up, as well as those 2 additional gateways.
Oh yeah, the stalkers can't do anything. They just they have to threaten the counterattack. Is what it has to be.
So, I mean,
going up that ramp to try to do damage is lunacy.
Where does Hexia go from here? I mean, he's got these blink stalkers.
Ooh, got the sentry. I like that.
Oh wow!
Ooh, gosh, what's with you guys in hidden bases?
Gallegation just pointed out to me, like, oh, look at the bottom. There's a hidden that from Frezia down there. I mean,
that is the most hidden of hidden
bases.
Well,
so riddle me this. So Frezia's got this pretty well taken care of. He knows there's blink stalkers up front. He's got observer. He's taking out Hexia's observer. 2 immortals, lots of sentries. It feels pretty confident about being able to hold this off. Takes that. And, but the stalkers out here, their goal is to keep Frezia in his base, and he's basically done what Hexia doesn't want him to do. So, mind games.
It is. And I'll tell you, MiracleGamerZ Frezia here is flirting with disaster. Like, it's these hidden bases are great, but in the PvP matchup in particular, where you're so encouraged to just kind of litter the map with pylons, and there's a lot of things moving around in a very mobile blink stalker army, which shouldn't find its way down there, but if anything spots that, any like stabilization that Frezia had is gone. Like, he was in okay position, and I've given this analysis before, and we talked about this in that PVZ, where it's like, it's different here because I don't think he was ahead per se, maybe just by a little bit, but all of a sudden he's kind of putting it all in there, and it's, I don't know, in this case I don't really like it, I guess is what you can glean.
He's got 2 Dark Templars going into the natural expansion of Hexia. One does get caught by force field going up the ramp to the main base, so it doesn't get in there, and their observer in the natural expansion took care of the second one, and those did come warped in off of the hidden expansion down here on the bottom, but there's a photon overcharge going in as well.
Oh my god.
2 stalkers were in that warp prism.
No, well, I don't know. You saw another one. The red warp prism, Hexia's, was 2 DTs and a zealot.
Yeah. And now
they got a cannon.
But see, Frisia was actually ahead on upgrades here. Oh no, one Immortal at the Natural Expansion. Frisia gets caught off guard. The rest of the army goes into the Natural Expansion. Stalker's chasing it down. The rest of the Immortals do come back to reinforce, but one Stalker is a big deal at this point in the game.
Yeah. Immortal even. It's for both players. It's
I meant to say Immortal.
not the cleanest of games from either one of them, but that's kind of what you expect in grand finals kind of format, especially if you consider that Frisia is playing for his team's life. If he wins this, he's a hero. If he loses, he's a goat. And he's taking big risks, which is, I like that. That takes balls, and I appreciate that. And on the flip side, Hexia has been just moments away from absolute excellence, but keeps kind of dancing away from it. I like his pylon coverage. His Stalker plays okay. Yeah, this is what I'm talking about. It's absolutely scouted.
Probe is rallied right through the hidden expansion here, so that is going to be seen. So Frisia is going to have a trick on his hand because he has not had this going and mining long enough to get value out of it. So, but he's taking another third here opposite of Hexia's. He does have Colossus going down, and if that's any indication from the PvPs we've seen so far today, the player with Colossus wins the game. So,
yeah. He needs to pull the probes right away. The second it was scouted, he needs to pull the probes. He's even adding a cannon. That's the silliest of things I've ever seen in my life. Like, what is that cannon ever going to do? Like, oh, okay, there's a cannon there. Never mind, I can't attack that base. I'll come back to it 20 minutes from now. Nope. So he does pull the probes now. He's going to make best from a bad situation. It's a shame the base was found, and it's an interesting gamble, but just to return to the idea, what I don't like about it is that he wasn't so far behind that he needed to do something like that. If anything, I feel like he might have been ahead, and as I say that, he's down in supply now. He's, you said he's ahead in upgrades. It looks like he's actually. Oh no, you said he might be behind, but
I get interrupted there by some action that was going on. But he was ahead, and then when that last big push came, Hexia chrono boosted out +1 to catch up, and then put down +2 instantly. So now he's actually ahead by a little bit.
Army-wise, I like the Colossus coming out from Frisia. It looks like our red Protoss is a little bit slower to that. In fact, there is no robotic spay. So as it stands right now, Immortal Charge Lot Archon absolutely can go toe-to-toe with just a few Colossus, but in time, if Frisia can make that Colossus count something closer to, 4 or 5, the army favor shifts heavily to his side. And we have Hexia moving out with the War Prism here too, but already good cannon coverage from Frisia as well. So Fresia's not out of this thing yet. We don't discount him just yet.
Well, Hexia hasn't really done a lot of scouting of the Colossus yet. Frisia is actually supply blocked pretty bad right now. Hexia dropping the Zealots in the main base here. Depends on how far he gets in if he sees that Robotics Bay, which is researching Extended Thermal Lance. But, wow, this is a lot of Zealots in the main base of Frisia.
It's a little bit poorly timed, though. His army's moving to the third. I would have loved for these units to show up 5 seconds later so that this army could then go snipe the third, because as it is right now, Fresia's not biting, and he can warp in DTs as well. Remember that. He has his own Dark Shrine. Great force field. Again with the cannons, he kills the Zealots, and he's not biting. Look at his army outside his third, and here comes Hexia. This is a critical moment.
He goes into the third. The Zealots do have charge run on up there, but some of the Zealots actually go for the third base, splitting up, so the army is quite a bit smaller. It's actually engaging here against Frisia.
Yeah. Really poorly executed from Hexia. I believe the Zealots going to that right side was a miscue. They now come into the fight, and they're doing decent damage, but imagine if they would have been there from the beginning. It looks like Hexia is going to do a pretty okay trade here, and inside the main, he is getting some damage in.
Zealots warping in behind the Colossus. They're going to charge right up on the Colossus.
I say that.
Get to the cliff, Colossus.
They're going to try. Oh, God, the angle. Okay, good. They do get up.
Just barely. That's actually pretty clutch that he was able to save those because, but the Blink Stalker does come up and does end up taking down one Colossus, but another one comes out of the main base of Hexia. Or, I'm sorry, Frisia to end up taking out some of those. But, wow, Frisia's got to get something going here because the reinforcements of Hexia are proving to be a little bit of a trouble for him, but it looks like he's going to push it off.
Yeah, if he loses his third, he's actually just going to, and it looks like he will. And that's where the real damage is done. So the standing army of Hexia is pretty pitiful. The Colossus tech is very powerful, but he just dealt a huge economic blow because, keep in mind, this is a strange game in terms of timing. Look in the main, it's mined out. So he's effectively on one base economy, which means he's going to fall behind dramatically in production. And he adds 4 gateways here. He could never sustain those in a million years.
Yeah, I think, I mean, it ended up working out in Hexia's favor because Freezy ended up having to move back up into his natural expansion to defend those. But that Warp Prism being there was absolutely clutch, and just coming up, it was like, you didn't see me, just come right behind the Colossus and warp in 7 Zealots and charge right up onto the Colossus.
You gotta like Hexia's position here, and in fact, it looks like Frezia's going to say expanding now would not make sense, but I mean, if you look at the army of Hexia, you look at his Warp Prism, his ability to produce here, there's just not enough Colossus. He needs more. It needs to be more like 4 or 5, and if he would have saved that 3rd, I would go as far as to say Frezia is in a dominant position, but as it is right now, it's the opposite.
And there's still pylons kind of all over the place for Hexia, so he can warp in up to the north or to the
getting
south.
That Warp Prism, though. This is a nice one. He needs to get buffer for the Colossus, though. Oh gosh, there's not support back there. Okay, they are backing up, but there's so many Archons. And he doesn't get the Warp Prism either. Yeah, he's a dead man.
Warp Prism does open up once again. Immortal on the left side getting free pot shots at those Colossus. And that's pretty much the end for those. But as you said, the main base is exhausted. The remote mining off of the 3rd. And the army supply here now 51 to 18 in favor of Hexia.
Yeah, he's playing for his team's life, so he's going to give it everything he's got. He's got these 5 DTs chasing back the Zero Detection Protoss army, but the supplies tell the whole story. He's down 50 supply. As you pointed out, he's longest mining his 3rd. He's like beg borrowing and bartering for Colossus, and he's getting a few, but
these are like the desperation DTs of all eternity right here.
Yeah.
5 warped in just to do anything but 2 Archons. Wow, there's just going to be nothing here when Hexia comes up this base. And is this going to be the push that forces the GG from Phrygia, giving Hexia and MicroGamerZ the SC2CTL Season 2 victory? Yet to be determined. It will happen eventually, but I mean,
it's happening here any second now. The Observer could die, so he could warp in another. He can afford a single DT if he cancels the Colossus.
Yet another Colossus wanders its way through the hallways of Gate.
Oh gosh, he's gonna make that final stand up here, but big congratulations to MicroGamerZ here. They pretty dominant 4-1 score, great games, but when the dust is cleared, they were the far and away better team.
Absolutely, and going through the season, nice dance here coming out of Hexia, just kind of prompting the GG from Phrygia. Will we see it here soon? It's sure to come down eventually, and if this does end up happening here soon, it is going to spell victory for MicroGamerZ and GG Grats coming out of Miraculous Gaming Phrygia. So that is going to seal the deal up for MicroGamerZ, a 4-1 victory. A big round of applause for everyone who played today. Super awesome, and we've just had such a great event. And unfortunately, depends how you look at it, we've had some relatively quick series. I mean, I was honestly planning on being here until about midnight tonight. Jeff's probably thankful that that's not actually the case. But we've seen some awesome games. We've made it through 4 best-of-7s, and we have first place of Season 2. SC2CTL is going to be MicroGamerZ and Company. They'll be taking home $400. The grand prize of SC2CTL Season 2. Second place is going to be Miraculous Gaming. God, and up until the end. They're going to take home $200. And in third place is going to be No Dice Gaming, and they are going to take home the third place prize of $100. So, I mean, just excellent play we've seen out of all the players. And as we've seen, so many of these players have moved from sort of being a little bit unknown coming into SC2CTL and moving in. We're seeing a lot of the players playing in SC2CTL in WCS and various events like that. And, as Jeff was saying, they're making their prominence known on the ladder, and that's very cool to see. But, I mean, that's going to wrap up this portion of the show. We still do have a keyboard to give away and all that kind of stuff, so stay tuned in here. But I want to give...
Real quickly, let's give away that last code so people have some time to get it in before we actually do the giveaway.
Absolutely.
Again, that's sc2ctl.com/giveaway. The last code is going to be based Mythlogic, BASED Mythlogic, spelled like it sounds. So get that in, as we will be doing that giveaway real soon.
Yeah, but we want to give Jeff a big thanks here for joining us this evening. It's been super awesome. And, as the season has progressed, you've been a big support on Reddit and Twitter and all that kind of stuff. So,
sure, man.
It's a huge help for organizations like ours, for people like you to kind of stand up for us.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate that. Appreciate you taking time out of your super busy schedule to come out and spend the evening with us. Any shout-outs or final words you want to give everybody?
Oh, you guys are too kind. I appreciate the opportunity as well. I mean, you guys are putting on a good production, great games, like I said, and that is a decent prize pool. I just like everything about this. So thank you guys for having me on, and hopefully there'll be more. Thanks a lot.
All right, thanks, Jeff, and have a great evening. And we will hopefully see you again soon.
All right, sounds good. Take it easy, guys.
Thanks.